Tonight, in front of former in-laws and his daughter, a St. Anthony man accused of killing his estranged wife makes his first appearance in court.
Dean Penney, who's now charged with first-degree murder in the death of Jennifer Hillier Penney, makes an appearance in a courthouse in Corner Brook today, all while his family watches.
The man that killed my mom is going to jail. I'm confident in that. And this is the start.
That story tonight on Here and Now.
As Christmas creeps closer, those left at a St. John's tent encampment aren't sure the province will deliver on its promise.
You used to be able to go in and $100 you'd have a cartload.
Especially coming up in the holiday season, it has a huge difference on the budget.
Stretching a dollar without stretching yourself too thin. Tonight, our series, The Grind, is all about finding solutions.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Heather Gillis, filling in for Carolyn Stokes this week. Let's get to our top story. Jennifer Hillier Penney's family describes the feeling as freeing. Over the weekend, Dean Penney was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Now, that's 7 years after his estranged wife disappeared under suspicious circumstances. Today, Dean Penney was in a Corner Brook courtroom as his daughter watched on. Here and Now's Colleen Connors reports.
50-year-old Dean Penney in the Corner Brook courthouse this afternoon, sullen, looking up once to see his oldest daughter, Marina Goodyear, who was watching him with her friends and family.
It's just, you can't just pick one emotion. It's a lot, it's heavy, obviously, but today is freeing.
Penney has been charged with killing Jennifer Hillier Penney on November 30th, 2016. He was arrested in Deer Lake on Saturday afternoon and is in custody tonight. The arrest and charge just confirm what Goodyear has believed for a very long time.
The man that killed my mom is going to jail. I'm confident in that. And this is the start.
Jennifer Hillier Penney was last seen at Penney's house on Husky Drive in St. Anthony 7 years ago. She had moved out, the beginnings of a separation, but was staying at the family home to watch her youngest daughter, Dina, while Penney went duck hunting in Northwest Arm. RCMP said Saturday at a press conference in St. John's that her remains still haven't been found, and investigators continue to look for her. After 7 years, Goodyear believed the investigation was over, saying it was hard to hold on to hope. But something changed, she said, and the police finally got what they needed to arrest and charge Penney.
I can't get into the specifics of this particular investigation on how we ended where we did, simply because the matter is still before the court. But any investigation where we're going to charge somebody with first-degree murder requires a significant amount of evidence to support that charge. There can be any number of factors that would have an impact on the complexity of that investigation and our ability to collect the evidence that we required.
Goodyear, who's now a mom, has said to CBC that her mother was afraid of Penney, afraid he might hurt her.
My mom's fear is what makes me not afraid. Anytime I've ever felt afraid, I have thought back to what she went through on that night, and I'm not afraid of anything. She is my strength.
Goodyear and about a dozen members of Jennifer Hillier Penney's family were in the courthouse today, and they plan on being back here Friday morning at 11 a.m. when Penney will be before the judge again. They say they have waited years for this, and they want to see justice for Jennifer Hillier Penney. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Corner Brook.
In other news, this province is getting some unexpected help from the federal government. For the first time in 15 years, Newfoundland and Labrador will receive equalization payments. Peter Cowan has more on how much we're getting and why.
Have Not is here again. Next year, Newfoundland and Labrador will officially be a have-not province, entitling it to $218 million in equalization. After 15 years without it, the finance minister is glad to be receiving equalization payments.
I don't think anything is lost, and because, of course, this is about ensuring that Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are treated like the rest of Canadians, that we have the equivalent level of service for the equivalent taxation value. In fact, if they had listened to us, we would be receiving more in equalization.
Compared to the other Atlantic provinces, the amounts we'll receive are modest. PEI gets almost 3 times the equalization, New Brunswick 15 times, and Nova Scotia gets the most with $3.3 billion. The finance minister says the money is unexpected, but there are lots of places to spend it.
Well, we do have a lot of priorities. As the people of the province know, they're seeing additional requirements for health. They're seeing additional requirements for education, for social services.
Whether this province receives equalization or not has always had political implications. From 1982, when Premier Brian Peckford predicted that one day have-not would be no more, to 2008, when it became a reality and Danny Williams celebrated the end of equalization.
Newfoundland and Labrador is now a have province. That's a momentous day for the people of this province.
So should Newfoundlanders and Labradorians read into the fact that have province status is no more? One professor who's an expert in equalization says don't read too much into it. It's a complicated formula which depends a lot on how other provinces are doing. So Alberta doing better, for example, helps Newfoundland and Labrador qualify.
It receiving equalization really shouldn't change people's perspective on where the province is today relative to where they thought the province was last year. This is an amount being paid out this year that's really just because of a couple of complex aspects of the formula.
That formula is so complicated, experts in government can't even agree on why Newfoundland and Labrador now qualifies for equalization. Today, the finance minister said 3 small technical changes, things like the date they measure the population, is what's behind the change. But Trevor Thome says that didn't make a difference. He says it's Alberta's strong economy bringing up the national average that's allowing this province to now qualify. He expects those equalization payments to continue for the next few years. Peter Cowan, CBC News, St. John's.
As winter looms, there is more trouble at the aging Holyrood generating facility. 2 of the 3 turbines are now out of service, and the only unit left online isn't operating at full capacity. Newfoundland and Labrador hydro officials have confirmed that Unit 1 was taken offline last week for repairs required for safety reasons. It should be back in service by the end of December. There are also issues affecting Unit 3, which means it's operating at about half capacity. All this follows recent news that Unit 2 will be out of service until March. Despite all of that, Hydro says the system has enough power generating reserves.
Well, it has certainly warmed up out there today for good, well, pretty much all across the province. Take a look at these numbers, anywhere from 4 to about 8 degrees or 9 degrees warmer than where you were sitting this time yesterday. And these temperatures, these mild temperatures, are going to stick around. We can thank a couple of areas of low pressure, bringing lots of rain with it already to the maritime provinces, and lots of wind as well. We've got a ridge of high pressure just to the east that is helping kind of bring the rain towards our neck of the woods as we head through to tonight and really for the next couple of days. We're already starting to see some of those showers on the southwest coast of the island, but we are tapping into some subtropical or tropical moisture over the next couple of days. This is setting up kind of an atmospheric river setup, and essentially it's like a fire hose directing rain right towards the province. This is going to continue through Thursday and even into Friday for parts of the province. We'll get into how much rain's on the way, a significant amount of rain on the way. I'll get into all that when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. The deadline, a provincial task force set to find housing for people living near a St. John's Park, is now a week away. But not everyone is convinced a long-term solution is coming. There are now 5 people living in a tent encampment at Bannerman Park. That's down from around 30 at its peak. Many of those people are now living elsewhere, according to the area MHA, like in shelters or apartments. But a man who's still living in the park isn't ready to leave without permanent housing.
We have between 10 and 12 individuals that were sleeping at the tents at night. We're down to 1 or 2 over the past couple of nights. So we're seeing success in that regard, and largely because we have combined all our efforts, whether it's through the housing support workers, with our harm reduction team, which includes nurses and social workers, with folks from Homelessness St. John's.
They're kind of sweeping it underneath the rug. And after Christmas, and what they said, by Christmas Eve, they want us gone really bad. Just so they can keep their face and hold their heads high and say, hey, we took care of it, but they're not. We want housing. We need to rent to those with addiction, pets, and mental health issues. Everybody deserves a chance.
Our series, The Grind, began with a troubling trend: more and more Canadians picking up a second job to make ends meet. Each week on Here and Now, we've been meeting some of those people, and tonight we're looking back on the series, looking for possible solutions. Our Sarah Antle has that story.
The series that became The Grind started out as an idea. And these days it seems like that idea is on everyone's mind, especially at the grocery store.
Cost of living is going crazy. I mean, going to the supermarket, you used to be able to go in and $100 you'd have a cartload. And today $100 will come out in one bag.
Just having bought groceries right now, you can see how much everything is, and especially coming up on the holiday season, it has a huge difference on the budget and what you can get and the quality of things that you can get here.
The data shows that more and more Canadians are responding to the cost of living crisis by getting a second job, or even a third job.
You know, I was getting by, but then I needed to pick up a third job really to supplement my income because I just couldn't make my rent.
And then you get a paycheck and then you go, here's rent, here's power, here's that. And it felt like everybody was getting what I had worked hard for, except for me.
A new report from the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives shows a living wage for each region of this province. And no matter where you live, it's more than $23. But the median retail worker in this province makes less than $20 an hour.
Thank you, have a good day. Thank you, you too.
The median food service worker, just $16.50.
You're always kind of falling behind to the point where you're robbing Peter to pay Paul for paychecks.
But money isn't the whole story. For many people working multiple jobs, the price of that extra paycheck is burnout, exhaustion, mental health getting worse with each passing shift.
Not being able to sleep overnight because you're so much worrying, going to bed with tears like almost every other day. You can just hear your body scream for more rest. It's just not functioning anymore.
We asked the experts what could help people facing this kind of struggle. And they had a lot of ideas, but it comes down to one thing.
That the only way to solve the problems created by poverty is to eliminate poverty. There's all kinds of, ways that you can alleviate some of the symptoms, like food banks or what have you, but it really doesn't get to the root cause, which is people not having enough money. I'm a member of the Basic Income Canada, Basic Income Nova Scotia movement, so that's, I think, gaining some traction around the world.
Guaranteed income programs are being studied in several provinces, including Newfoundland and Labrador. Pilot programs in other jurisdictions are already proving successful, lifting people out of poverty and helping them stay there. This series may have started out with an idea, but these stories are about people, young and old, new to the country and some who've been here their whole lives, people entering the workforce and people who can't afford to retire. They've all been touched by this crisis, and each of their stories is unique. But they're all hoping the grind won't go on forever. Sarah Antle, CBC News, St. John's.
In other news, an LGBTQ organization, Quadrangle NL, will receive new funding. Funding was announced today through the National Action Plan to End Gender-Based Violence. Quadrangle NL will get $890,000 spread out over the next 4 years. The organization's executive director says the government funding is an investment, one that will keep the organization running in its current location.
This is how we see true investment within the 2S LGBTQ+ community happening, right? That a bit of money is really going to allow us to do the work we need to do, and it's coming from our provincial and federal government, which shows that really strong investment in the community.
Well, this is a Christmas miracle. This is what I always wanted.
Ahead on Here and Now, we return to Corner Brook to hear more from Marina Goodyear and why she won't be missing a minute of her father's murder trial.
Well, temperatures are going to be incredibly warm over the next couple of days. We've also got a significant amount of wind and a significant amount of rain to talk about. I will break the full forecast down for you in a few minutes.
Welcome back to Here and Now. And Ashley, there is a lot of weather on the way. I'm not going to dilly-dally. I'm going to let you get right to it.
Yeah, there certainly is. And a lot of it, we're seeing these milder temperatures across a good portion of the island, across the country, really. Let's take a look at what's going on out there. We've got a bit of a dip in those temperatures, though, as you head towards Manitoba, down to about -12 in Winnipeg. Either side of that, though, we are seeing some mild temperatures. 9 degrees in Montreal, 6 it topped out in St. John's today, but we do have some of that milder air towards the west coast of the province. 10 degrees in Stephenville, Rec House area at around 12. Finally reporting again in Port aux Basques, but you sat around 7 degrees today. The other thing to note is these incredibly mild temperatures up across Labrador, 4 to 8 degrees. These temperatures are anywhere from 18 to 22 degrees warmer than you should be at this time of year, and that is going to continue as we head into tomorrow. In fact, some of the milder air on its way, back towards the Maritime province, anywhere from 10 to 14 degrees, 15 degrees as your daytime highs today. So that is what we're going to see. Temperatures are starting to drop down a little bit in the east, but the warm up is certainly on the way. More than likely all the way through the night tonight, our temperatures are going to be staying above zero, 7 degrees right now in Happy Valley Goose Bay. The other thing with this system, this area of low pressure bringing very windy conditions. Already seeing that out there, those winds topping out at 115 kilometers per hour in the Rec House area. And some pretty strong gusts as well. St. John seeing about 70 kilometers per hour. So we're expecting these winds to increase as we head through the overnight, especially for those areas prone to southeasterlies on the west coast. We could be talking about winds gusting as high as 130, maybe even 140 kilometers per hour in those enhanced southeasterlies, similar towards the southeastern portion of Labrador. Now, these winds are going to continue through tomorrow. Widespread area seeing gusts anywhere from 80 to 100 kilometers per hour. And we'll start to see some of those winds ease up across Labrador as we get into Wednesday morning, but they are going to stick around right through the day, at least for a good chunk of the day on Wednesday for the island. So that is no surprise, prompting wind warnings from Cartwright all the way through to the Rec House area, including Burgeo, a little bit further east as well. And the other thing with this system, it's the rain, and rainfall warnings are basically all the way up the west coast towards the strait there on the Labrador side, and then all the way across to Burgeo. This rain is already starting across a good chunk of the Maritime provinces, as I showed you a little bit earlier, tracking in some tropical moisture with this, and that is going to stick around. We're already starting to see some of the shower activity on the southwestern portion of the province, but as we head through tonight, that rain will be on the increase, with that heavy rain starting through the overnight period and into tomorrow morning. And as I zoom out a little bit here, you can see right through Tuesday into Wednesday, it just keeps coming. The rain will continue pretty much into, so this is just still Wednesday morning, and you can see it's directed right towards the southern portion and really all up the west coast of the island through Wednesday, and then another round of heavy rain will come in Wednesday afternoon. So these rainfall totals, as you can imagine, are fairly significant. I had to adjust my scale and add pretty much double what I typically have. I normally have about 100 to 130 millimeters of rain, but I had to adjust it to include over 200 millimeters. Some of the highest models showing upwards of 400 millimeters of rain falling. If that does happen, it will likely be in the higher elevations, but still an incredible amount of rain for a fairly short period of time. This will fall through Thursday likely. If that does happen, we'll likely see some road washouts, potentially some flooding. So certainly something that you are going to want to keep an eye on. Temperatures tonight, again, are going to stay mild. Most of us will be seeing between 6 and 9 degrees, with the exception of Nain. You'll be hovering around the 1 degree mark. And as we head into tomorrow, just going to zoom in a little bit here on the forecast. We are going to see those temperatures right across the island, anywhere from 9 to 12 degrees. Expect records to be broken. I know some are already broken for today, but we should see some of those daytime highs for sure. Those winds keeping fairly strong out of the south tomorrow. Now, note in Lab West, you are going to see your temperatures start mild tomorrow, and then they are going to plummet through the day. So any rain with the rainfall warnings is pretty much going to turn to ice. So Definitely a significant forecast. We have some more rain on the way through the end of the week. I'll get into those details when I come back.
Thank you, Ashley. Back to our top story now. Marina Goodyear, the daughter of Jennifer Hillier Penney, says she's not going to miss a minute of her father's trial. Dean Penney sat in a Corner Brook courtroom today, charged with the first-degree murder of his estranged wife. Jennifer Hillier Penney was last seen at the man's St. Anthony home. That was 7 years ago. Our Colleen Connors spoke with Marina Goodyear outside the courtroom.
What do you make of it taking 7 years to be in this courtroom today?
I don't know what to make of it. I thought it was over. I did. It was hard to have hope after so many years, but no, this is a Christmas miracle. This is what I always wanted. It's happening. My mom is going to get justice.
You sound so confident, and you use the word freeing. What's going to happen now? What do you think is going to happen now?
There's going to be a trial, obviously. And I'm going to get all my answers when this goes to trial.
What do you know about how things may have changed? I mean, RCMP alluded that you need a lot of evidence in order to charge someone with this. So 7 years later, I mean, why now?
They just finally got what they needed. They got the peace they were waiting for. It finally happened. I just can't believe it. I can't. It's a dream come true.
It was a brief appearance, but I noticed he was looking your way. What was that like? This
just felt good. The last time he seen me, that man killed my mother, and he laughed in my face. The last time I seen him, he waved and grinned at me, and I'm the one on the other side grinning now. Looks good on him. This is what he deserves. He's going to get what he deserves.
You've said before that your mom was afraid of him, of your dad. So now on this side, 7 years later, as a mom, how do you feel about when she suggests to you that she was afraid?
My mom's fear is what makes me not afraid. Anytime I've ever felt afraid, I have thought back to what she went through on that night, and I'm not afraid of anything. She is my strength.
So you and your family, you're going to sit in on this courthouse and you're going to follow this, hey?
I'm not missing a single minute of it, ever. I'm seeing this out to the end.
You talked before about how you not only lost your mom, but you lost your dad when this happened. Do you still feel that way?
I have never stopped feeling that way. I'm past acceptance. It's just a part of life now. That's just something I accepted 7 years ago. I knew.
You knew then, hey?
I knew. And I just need the cops to get to where we are today to prove it. And it will come out. The truth is coming. The answers are coming. It might take a year. It might take 2 years in trial. They got him. They do.
I'm glad that we renewed our wedding vows, because I had to get this heart to fall in love with me again.
1 year after a heart transplant, a St. John's couple have a new lease on life and love. Their heartwarming story, that's coming up.
Season of giving, a season of kindness. Let's make the season kind for those in need. CBC is helping support local food banks this holiday season. Visit cbc.ca/bekind to find out how you can help.
Welcome back to Here and Now. The holiday season brings so many reasons to celebrate, but for one couple, this Christmas marks a special occasion. It's been 1 year since Dex Pelly's successful heart transplant, and now Pelly says every day is a gift. With his new heart and a new lease on life, Pelly and his wife Benita decided to renew their wedding vows. The CBC's Sarah Blackmore was at the ceremony and spoke to the couple about how an organ donor saved their lives.
After all those years together, I mean, I adore this man. And anyone who knows us, they know how much I love him and certainly how much he adores me. His love for me has never, ever changed.
I needed something like that, I really did.
Renewing vows, a celebration of a long and loving marriage. Benita's dress, Dex's suit, the same ones that they wore on their wedding day, and that was 24 years ago. But there's been a change of heart.
He proposed to me before heart transplant, and he said, if I get through this, will you marry me again? And here we are, and this is 24 years later, and we are so grateful.
The transplant? A heart transplant. A little over a year ago, the Pellys didn't know how long Dex had to live.
If I had to get up here and walk to you, I wouldn't be able to do it. I would have to get someone to physically lift me up. That's how bad I was.
Now this Christmas, the real gift is the time that they have together.
This Christmas is like, wow. I feel like I'm a little 10-year-old again, like you're just so excited for Christmas. Just, you know, have our Christmas again.
At the Ottawa Heart Institute, the wait for a new heart dragged through 6 months. Then doctors broke the news. Time for Dex was running out. Palliative care, 2 weeks to live. Benita will tell you that her faith got her through that tough moment, but Dex will let you know about a visitor that gave him hope.
I've never been a religious person, but I can tell you at that time when that magnificent thing perched outside and just grabbed onto the parapet and looked at me.
And that magnificent thing?
It was this majestic eagle at the Ottawa Heart Institute, perched right on the windowsill. Huge, majestic eagle. And Dex said it looked him straight in the eyes. For some reason, it gave him hope. It was like a message.
All the pressure I had inside me, all this, the fear, everything just went.
It went, and
2 days later?
2 days later, more news from the doctors. They found a donor. Dex would be getting a new heart.
The whole experience gave me a totally different outlook on a lot of things. The transplant system, the transplant experience, the donor is something that obviously I'll never, couldn't possibly ever, thank. I'm not sure who it is yet. Hopefully one of these days I'll find out.
It's been a year. The Pellys can now write to the donor's family. The hope is they'll write back.
The donor, I wouldn't be here.
No.
I wouldn't be talking to you right now, for sure. They gave me life in so many different ways.
Yeah.
It's just...
Not a day that goes by that we're both not thanking the donor, his family. They have no, like I said, they have no idea, they gave him life. They saved his life. They gave him life, and not only that, they gave him life, but they gave my husband back.
With the new heart comes a new start to a lifelong love.
See, I'm glad that we renewed our wedding vows, because I had to get this heart to fall in love with me again. Like this right now. When you go through such an extreme, your love is like, it's stronger than it ever could be. And then even when you get out of that storm, and he survives it, and he does so great, your love goes into another level.
The actual event itself, for me, it was a place for me to continue healing. It took some time. What we'd both been through, and of course with the transplant, I needed something like that. I really did. And to all the friends and people who showed up, to help us, the volunteers, people who just came out of the woodwork to help us through this. It just warmed my heart, and it's something that will stick with me for the rest of my life. Let me show you that.
Sarah Blackmore, CBC News, St. John's.
Still ahead, for people with cancer this Christmas, why the Daffodil Place is a refuge.
It is a real life sea monster. Like, it makes the real world shimmer with a sense of the wondrous.
People didn't understand it.
Descriptions of it seems like something out of science fiction.
There's an element of the madcap, there's an element of whimsy. The giant squid to me is also emblematic of swashbuckling adventure.
It just seemed impossible.
We've unraveled the story of the Kraken.
We're here at the Daffodil Place where hundreds of people stay each year while they get treatment for cancer. And this time of year can be particularly difficult for those going through treatment. Carl Smith is the lodge manager and is joining us now. Thank you for being with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about what the feeling is like here this time of year when there are people undergoing treatment for cancer staying here at the lodge.
It's pretty difficult this time of year because people get diagnosed with cancer, and it's an extra burden on them, like financially, for sure. And the lodge is good because it's a cheap place to stay. We offer a lot of amenities that are a lot cheaper than a hotel. If we didn't have the lodge here, they would have to stay in a hotel.
And what is that like to offer this service to help people? What do they say to you in return?
Oh, they're so grateful. They say, many people will say they don't know what they'll do if there was no Daffodil Place here, because they wouldn't be able to afford to stay in a hotel spending hundreds of dollars a day just to stay here. And a lot of times people will say, I've donated to Daffodil Place in the years past, but never really realized how much of an impact it was until they had to actually stay here.
Can you give us a rundown of what's available here for people?
So for here, we have in the price of the room, we give 3 meals a day. That's 3 hot meals a day. We give transportation to and from the hospital for their appointments. We have volunteer drivers that do that. They volunteer their time and they take our vehicles, which were donated. In our rooms, we have cable TV. We have long distance, which a lot of people avail of. It's no charge. They can call anywhere in Canada, so they can call their loved ones when they're staying here. That's an important one for a lot of people.
Carl, how many people stay here each year?
Every year, well, this past 2023, we've had about 465 cancer clients and caregivers stay with us. And that's from about 155 communities throughout Newfoundland and Labrador.
I see you're all decorated for Christmas
Oh,
and
yes.
ready for the man in the big red
Yes.
suit. Will you have people staying here over the Christmas break?
We do. Actually, I just counted this morning. We have about 27 people registered to stay over Christmas. And a lot of them are living so far away that it's not affordable to be able to go back home and come back again. And when they get here, I mean, like I say before, we're like one big family. So it's, you know, they are happy to stay here, and there's always people here.
Carl, I know it's a hard time for a lot of people financially, and I know a lot of community groups say their demand is rising while they're not seeing donations as high on the other end.
Yeah.
What's the situation here?
We've been fairly lucky because we operate by donations only. Right now we have a holiday campaign going for the Canadian Cancer Society. It's cancer.ca/holiday. They can donate to Daffodil Place. It's so important this time of year because without Daffodil Place, like I say, they'd have to stay in a hotel spending hundreds of dollars. And I've heard many people say, well, they wouldn't be able to do their cancer treatment if, you know. So it's so important that we keep Daffodil Place running.
With the days slowly getting colder, the prospect of being homeless is more troubling than ever. We're seeing it here in this province, and it's the same story in Halifax, where hundreds are sleeping in tents. It's prompted one man to launch a project providing valuable items to those in need, including ice fishing huts. The CBC's Kayla Hounsell has that story.
For the first time in his life, Michael Baker is living in a tent.
It's small, but at least it's home for now.
And he just got an upgrade. This tent is meant to be used for ice fishing. His other one, meant for camping, was leveled in a windstorm. He's been living outside Halifax City Hall for more than a month.
I was trying to get into a new place, but they keep asking for more money.
Nova Scotia's rent inflation rate is the highest in Canada. Halifax's vacancy rate among the lowest.
Temperature change, night and day.
Stephen Wilsack was shooting a Christmas movie down the street when he saw this. He couldn't look away. He was out shopping and noticed these sturdier ice fishing tents.
These are designed to keep somebody from freezing. This is designed in order to make sure that everything's at least safe.
He's hoping to avoid unsafe heating measures that could lead to this. No one was injured when this tent caught fire last weekend, but Wilsack warns there was propane nearby.
This is a state of emergency in the province of Nova Scotia. This is a state of emergency in Canada.
He paid for some tents himself. Then others started showing up with more.
This will save somebody's life.
The municipality has only approved this site for 8 tents.
You just can't say, get out of here.
Halifax's mayor says the insulated tents are an improvement.
But my goal is not just to make it easier for people to sleep outside, it's to get people inside.
With his office overlooking the tent city, he points out the municipality's booming population and says there's just not enough housing.
I'm just here to live in day at a time, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get out of here or not.
Wilsack says he's getting calls from as far away as British Columbia from people wondering if residents of their communities might also be able to live in what's meant for a winter sport. Kayla Hounsell, CBC News, Halifax.
Well, we didn't get to our birthday and anniversary greetings on Friday, so we're going to bring them to you now, starting with Alexander and Eunice Cull of Lewisport, who celebrated their 63rd on the 14th. Anne and Charles Devlin, together 60 years Thursday past, formerly of Sopsarm, now living in St. Catharines, Ontario. Happy 50th anniversary to Charlie and Peggy Kent of Bell Island. Calvin and Marie Young celebrating their 50th anniversary. That was on the 14th. Happy 66th to Raymond and Eileen Blundell. They celebrated on the 9th. Happy 57th to Ed and Jean Noseworthy of Shoal Harbour, celebrating their anniversary on the 10th. Happy 57th anniversary to Marion and Jim Oliver from Burnt Point. Harvey and Mary Pike, now residing in Carbonear, celebrating their 60th anniversary. Wishing Walter and Margaret Alcock of Leading Tickles a happy 61st anniversary. They celebrated on the 12th. Happy 55th to Andy and Eleanor Barnes of Marystown. Happy 53rd anniversary to Derek and Donna McKay of Pasadena. 54 years together for Betty and Les Handrigan from Grand Bank. Happy 61st anniversary on the 14th to Winfield and Iris Saunders of Point Leamington. Happy 50th anniversary to Gilbert and Sybil Lindstead of Lensaloo. Happy 50th to Keith and Sheila Keating of Marystown. They celebrated on Friday. Happy 60th to Bill and Beatrice Byrne of Port aux Basques. Happy 64th anniversary to Marion and Aubrey Pickett of Wareham. Happy 52nd anniversary to Ray and Myra Moland from Musgrave Harbour. Happy 50th anniversary to Mary and Gerard Keynes in St. Veronica's, Bay d'Espoir. They celebrated on the 14th. Happy 63rd anniversary to Barbara and Calvin Tilley of St. John's, who celebrated on Saturday. Happy 50th greetings go out to Henry and Wilma Flight living in Loon Bay. Best wishes to Joshua and Sarah Young, 64 years married today. Leslie and Francis Pickett and aunt and uncle Roland and Lucy Button had a double wedding 52 years ago today. That was yesterday, excuse me. The couples live next door to one another in Wareham. Happy 65th anniversary to Flora and Clyde Fever, celebrating today, originally from McCallum, now living in Hermitage. Happy 57th anniversary on the 26th to Pete and Lorraine Wadman of Dunville. On to our birthdays now, starting with a big one. Happy 103rd birthday to Josephine Struck, born in St. John's, living in Cambridge. She's celebrated on the 14th. Happy 92nd birthday to Catherine Pendergast of St. John's, who celebrated on the 13th. Happy 90th to Louisa Flynn, love from your family and your friends. Happy 93rd to Violet Newhook of New Harbour, who celebrated on the 10th. Amelia May Dumphy of St. Anthony celebrated her 95th on Thursday. Happy birthday to Frank Pinson of Grand Falls, Windsor. He was 94 on the 8th. Living in Cowhead, happy birthday to Bertha Payne, who was 95 last Monday. Greetings from all your family and friends. Happy 91st to Phyllis Morgan, who celebrated on the 13th, and she still enjoys her daily walk, I'm told. Lillian Mercer of Masonic Park, Mount Pearl. She turns 99 years old today. Rosie Miller, born on Burnett Island in Fortune Bay, now in St. John's, was 97 on the 8th. Happy birthday to John Nix of Branch, who was 92 yesterday. Birthday wishes to Laura Goosney Stoyles, 98 years young today, from Deer Lake, now in Victoria, BC. Stella Starks was 92 on the 15th, living at the Springdale Retirement Centre. Happy 91st to Teresa Drake of Lourdes, who celebrated on the 13th. Happy 96th birthday to Mary Norman of Ship Harbour, Placentia Bay. She's the oldest resident in that town. Happy 90th to Robert Andrews. He celebrated on the 14th. Happy birthday to Joan Hewlin, formerly of Cowhead, now in Deer Lake. She was 97 yesterday. Florence Osmond of Cape Ray was 93 on the 12th, oldest resident in that beautiful community. Happy 90th to Emma Howell of Templeman, New West Valley, and happy 102nd birthday to Sam White of Gander. He celebrated yesterday. Love and wishes from all of your family and friends, especially your older sister Margaret Mercer, who's 103, and your younger brother Jerome, who is 96. Good genes in that family. And happy birthday and anniversary to each and every one of you.
We get to do it again on Friday.
We do get to do it again on Friday. And last Friday, we actually had our Feed and L show where we were raising money and awareness about food banks in the province, raised $150,000. So we brought you your birthdays and your anniversaries today. But Ashley, we've got a lot on the go in the weather over the next couple of days.
Yeah, right through really the weekend. this, rain is not necessarily, it isn't a good thing at this time of year, but it is if you have travel plans for sure. But that is definitely going to change as we head towards the weekend. Let's take a look at what's going on. So this is your Tuesday evening into your Wednesday. This is really when the next round of heavy rain will move in for the West Coast. Again, it will continue through a good chunk of the afternoon. That's really where all the action is. May spread a little bit further east towards central. But for the most part, the heavy rain will be all along the west coast there, where temperatures again on Wednesday between 6 to 11 or 12 degrees across the island. Likely a few showers and or some drizzle and onshore flow for the east. But other than that, you'll likely see some peaks of sun as well. The winds will stay up for at least the eastern half of the island. We will see those winds start to ease for the west as the day goes on. Up across Labrador, some flurries for the north. Same thing for the west. Temperatures back down, still a bit above where you should be sitting this time of year. But after that dramatic warm up today and into tomorrow, these temperatures certainly going to lead to some icy conditions out there pretty much across the board. Through Wednesday evening and into Thursday, this is when we start to see some of that colder air move in. Starting to get some snow developing for southeastern portions of Labrador rather, and up towards the tip of the northern peninsula as well. Eventually, that colder air will filter further south. We'll likely see some potential for some ice pellets, maybe even some freezing rain in the mix here as well for areas like Green Bay, White Bay, parts of the northern peninsula. And then it'll continue to sink further south rather. Temperatures still quite mild, 9 to about 10 or 11 degrees across the island with the exception of the northern peninsula. Tapping into some of that colder air for the west, Lab West down to -14 and then hovering around 0 or a bit below. Again, some windy conditions for those of you towards the coast as well. So expect snow and blowing snow. We could be seeing upwards of about 15, maybe plus centimeters of snow in some cases. Now, closer we get to Christmas, we may see the potential for some snow. Definitely going to keep an eye on that forecast, but the temperatures are definitely dropping back down below 0. We're looking at that similar trend through central and western Newfoundland. Things may be tricky on Friday. If you have any driving plans across the island, you're certainly going to want to keep a look at the forecast. And then for eastern Labrador, you're looking at after a very mild day tomorrow, temperatures will head back down and even below seasonal by the time you get into Saturday. And then for western Labrador, some sunshine Thursday and Friday, but by Saturday, you're looking at the return of some flurries and your temperatures into the minus single digits. Now our weather photo of the day, a great shot of a sunrise pillar or a sun pillar in Port Rexton. Stephen shared this great shot. He says, never seen one of those before there. And perfectly aligned with the rock there. Thank you so much for that. If you have any weather photos you would like to share with us, you can send them to my Facebook page or email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, that is such a nice photo and such a beautiful area of our province as well.
Lovely.
Lovely indeed. And looking like a lot of wet weather, not really lovely weather as we head towards Christmas.
No, but hoping, fingers crossed that we'll see some snow before then.
All right, hoping for a few flakes for Santa's sleigh.
That's right.
That's our show for tonight. Good night.
Good night.